body of a missing man, less than a mile away from where his boat capsized. Earlier today, a Morton County Sheriff's deputy was checking the shoreline and discovered the body of 74-year-old Lynn Fairfield. Fairfield's wife called 911 on April 9th to report that her husband had left their home that morning to check on some hunting locations and was gone all day. The man's boat was found capsized and caught in an ice jam later that evening. The Bismarck Police Department is asking for your help in locating a missing woman. 22-year-old Abigail Renke was last seen in Bismarck on April 29th at about 11 p.m. by her roommate at their residence in the 1900 block of North 6th Street. Rankin is around 5'10" and 147 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. She drives a tan 2014 Kia Forte with North Dakota license plates 336AXV, which is also missing. Anyone with information about her location is asked to call the Bismarck Police Department. Let's throw it over now to meteorologist Henry Blakes for our first check on weather.
Complete forecast, Molly, coming up.
Thanks, Henry. Well, big changes are coming to the Kirkwood Mall. As we've mentioned, Herberger's will be soon closing. Megan Hoffman shows us what else is in store.
New retail businesses and food services have gone into the mall over the last year, and more are on the horizon. There are several empty spaces, but General Manager Jennifer Wilson says it's not uncommon to have turnover as leases expire and tenants move in and out. As for the 92,000 square foot space Herberger's is vacating, Wilson says they're looking at different options.
So we are looking to fill the space with a tenant that looks like Herberger's or maybe feels like that shopping experience or allows that assortment for her to shop from, but we might not be able to fill the entire space with that. So we're looking for food options, which our customer tells us all the time they want more of at our property.
The mall is also undergoing major renovations right now, putting in new tile and carpeting. That project is expected to be complete in August.
Thanks, Megan. Well, Tokes R Us has been closed since 4/20. That's when Bismarck police executed a search warrant and found marijuana and morphine inside. Cynthia McLaughlin shows us what police were actually looking for.
Tokes R Us is located on the corner of Thayer and Washington. The joint sells several smoking devices, claimed to be for tobacco use.
Well, we had received information about this place selling the paraphernalia illegally. And while we were gathering information, it just so happened that April 20th, National Marijuana Smoking Day, was close to the time we were getting ready to do the search warrant, so we decided to do it on that day.
Tokes R Us issued the following statement on Facebook after the investigation, saying the shop will be closed until everything is sorted out.
Our detectives went in on 2 separate occasions and bought illegal paraphernalia, which we allege is illegal according to North Dakota Century Code.
North Dakota Century Code defines drug paraphernalia as objects used, intended for use, or designed for use in ingesting, inhaling, or otherwise introducing marijuana, cocaine, or hash into the human body, including water pipes, chillums, and bongs. BPD has a message for other businesses in town selling similar items.
Anybody else that's selling paraphernalia, it's spelled out in North Dakota Century Code what's legal and what isn't legal. And if you're selling products that aren't legal, there's a very good chance that at some point you're going to be next.
A Bismarck stem cell clinic is agreeing to pay nearly $20,000 in refunds and will discontinue stem cell injections not approved by the FDA. The Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division launched an investigation of West 2 Medical Solutions last November after receiving consumer complaints. Despite the agreement, the clinic denies any wrongdoing. A judge in Rolla just charged a man with attempted murder after he assaulted a deputy. 33-year-old Michael Marion of Dunseith pleaded guilty to aggravated assault, attempting to disarm an officer, and drug dealing. He now faces 6 years in prison. Well, it's back to school for Governor Doug Burgum today. He shadowed a junior at Beulah High School. Reporter Maddie Jelseth shows us why.
Governor Burgum traveled these hallways just like these students beside me throughout the whole entire day.
Well, I'm glad you're wearing that India shoe gear.
Governor Doug Burgum shadowed Phoebe Garman as part of his Innovation Task Force. Garman says it's a cool experience to interact with the governor in this way.
I don't know. It feels like we kind of have a posse going around, but.
Burgum says his visit provided good insight into current teaching practices. He even wrote down notes to get the full high school experience.
Yes, that's right.
I just came from pre-calc and was having some memories of Mrs. Domeyer, my great high school math teacher, and it was a good refresher to get back in there.
Burgum also says he wants to make sure North Dakota stays at the forefront of education, because K-12 education is vital to the future of our state.
And it's important that we're laying the groundwork for 21st century skills starting in high school. I mean, we have to do that, we have to make sure that our education system is keeping up.
Burgum also adds that one of the biggest items in the general fund for North Dakota is funding K-12 education.
Reporting at Beulah High School. For West Dakota Fox is at 9, I'm Eddie Jolseth.
Speaking of schools, today in Washington, teachers from around the nation were honored for their exemplary work. Leah Jalecki was named North Dakota Teacher of the Year for turning assignments into activism. She works with immigrant and refugee students at Fargo South High School. In her class, each student writes a book about their personal journey to America. Those stories made it all the way to the state capitol.
And they were able to testify using their stories against a bill that would have limited refugee resettlement in North Dakota. And these 3 students, using their voices, came back and felt so empowered.
Jalecki says the 30 students in her class hail from 20 different countries and that there's no job she'd rather have. Well, Corey Volk, a teacher at South Central High School in Bismarck, was named Teacher of the Year by the Bismarck-Mandan Chamber of Commerce. Volk and his students were lured into the gym under the guise of a severe weather drill. That's when members of the school board and his family surprised him.
I'm just a role player on a really good team, and there's a lot of good stuff going on at South Central with a lot of really good kids, and I guess I was in the right place at the right time.
Volk teaches science and is the assistant principal at South Central. Today at Mandan High School, students got a first-hand look at the dangers of drunk driving. The setup involved a simulated 2-car crash that resulted in 2 fatalities.
Honestly, I hope they take it seriously because it can happen to them, and I just hope they think responsibly next time.
Well, oil refineries in Mandan and Dickinson will soon be changing owners when Marathon Petroleum merges with Endeavor. Endeavor Refinery was formerly known as Tesoro. It employs 300 people in North Dakota. Marathon Petroleum is buying Endeavor for more than $23 billion. Well, missing in action for 70 years, a South Dakota Navy pilot gets a plot alongside fellow World War II heroes. Our Washington Bureau's David Adey tells us why it took so long.
Full military honors for Navy pilot Lieutenant William Punnell. Dennis Kelvey and his family brought a picture of the uncle they never met to the service.
This was a picture that sat on our piano all the time I was growing up. To me, this is who my Uncle Bill was.
Enemy fire took down Punnell's plane over the Pacific Ocean in July of 1944. The Flandreau, South Dakota native's plane was lost underwater for almost 7 decades. Wednesday, Kelvey said the casket doesn't feel empty with his uncle's picture in hand.
It brought him here.
None of this would have been possible without a group called Project Recover. The group used modern technology to comb the Pacific Ocean for Punnell's plane and the pilot's remains.
In some small way, I feel we're contributing to a broader effort to ensure that we don't forget those who have served the country.
In 2014, a team of more than 24, led by marine experts, spent 2 days searching a square mile of ocean floor before finally finding Punnell's plane, providing a family with long-awaited closure.
He was a small-town hero.
Project Recover says there are tens of thousands more aviators missing at sea, and right now the group has 200 open cases and hopes each end this way. In Washington, I'm David Aid.
Welcome back. A military cargo plane from Puerto Rico crashed near Savannah, Georgia shortly after takeoff. The Georgia National Guard says there were 9 people on board the C-30 aircraft. The Air National Guard confirms people died in the crash but won't say how many. Now investigators want to know the cause. Mary Maloney has more on this developing story.
Wow. Thick black smoke fills the sky.
Plane just crashed.
Bright flames surround the plane smashed on the ground.
Plane crashed right by my job, man. Flew right over my head and crashed. And there's a fire going on down that way.
I can see the flames in the air. And from the flames, I've seen a lot of black smoke, white smoke on top.
Through the fire, clearly visible on the tail, an American flag. Underneath that flag, the Puerto Rican flag.
Wow, man.
Puerto Rico's National Guard says this plane, the C-130, had been in Savannah undergoing maintenance. The crew was en route to Arizona when witnesses noticed something terribly wrong.
I see a big plane in the air, big Army plane, and it just like started to the left, slowly going to the left, and it just went upside down on his back. And it went all the way on his back, flat on his back, and went down to the ground. Boom.
I hate to say it, but I think I just watched some people die.
I'm shook up, man. This is crazy.
Roads and train tracks remain closed in the area as crews investigate the cause of the crash.
This is going to be a large impact, and all we can do right now is try to mitigate it the best we can and say a prayer for the families of the people that were involved.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to them anytime we lose any of our brothers and sisters in arms. It's devastating.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
An investigation is underway after a fiery plane crash today in New Jersey. The small plane went down this afternoon near Greenwood Lake Airport. Fire crews worked to douse the flames. Right now, there's no word if anyone was injured. Officials in Illinois are monitoring multiple brush fires in the southern suburbs of Chicago. 2 fires are burning in Cook and Kankakee counties. A voluntary evacuation order was issued for several neighborhoods. 20 local firehouses are pitching in to knock down the blaze. And this was the scene in Fairfax, Virginia a few hours ago after a United Bank caught fire. Right now, there are no reports of any injuries. The cause of that fire is under investigation. And it's officially tornado season in Oklahoma, with its first funnel of the year touching down today in Harper County. The fast-moving storm quickly rolled through the northwest Oklahoma and into Kansas. The National Weather Service confirmed that the storm was a tornado, but say they will not investigate on the ground due to more severe weather expected in the area tomorrow. Police in Texas arrest a teenager who they say was planning a mass shooting at a shopping mall. 17-year-old Matin Azizi Yarand says he spent more than $1,400 to buy weapons and tactical gear. The teen discussed his plan with a confidential FBI source, speculating on the number of people he could kill by firing into a crowd and setting fires to stores. He's currently being held on $3 million bond. If convicted, he could face life in prison. And one person is dead in the E. coli outbreak linked to romaine lettuce. According to the CDC, that fatality happening in California. The CDC says since last week, 23 more people became ill, bringing the total up to 121 people in 25 states. And the 2 black men who were arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks last month settled with the city today for a symbolic $1 each and the promise from officials to set up a $200,000 program for young entrepreneurs. Their arrest went viral after the store owner racially profiled them. Speaking of dollars, it's raining cash on an interstate highway in Indiana. At least that's what it looked like after the back doors of a Brink security truck opened up on I-70. 2 bags, each containing about $300,000, fell onto the road. According to a new study released by the World Health Organization, India is home to 14 of the 15 most polluted cities in the world. The cities include New Delhi, Varanasi, and Patna. The data is based on the amount of PM 2.5 particulate matter, tiny but deadly air particles, which can increase the likelihood of respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. India's environmental ministry officials say the findings are embarrassing, but not surprising. Well, it looks like we're going to get some clear skies around these parts. Isn't that right, Henry?
Yeah, for the most part, things are going to be looking pretty good.
Welcome back. In Minot, the Roosevelt Park Zoo celebrated opening day for the summer season, but not all the animals are outside. The primates are still waiting to head outdoors. Many of the zoo's animals are adapted to colder climates. Those include gray wolves, bison, and reindeer. For them, warm weather means shedding their winter coats. Zookeepers do their part to make an easy adjustment for those animals.
Since they are colder climate animals, we have to make sure they have fans up, that they have shaded area, especially like where their hay is. It's underneath a shaded area, and then obviously lots of water.
Even though the zookeepers give animals plenty of options to stay cool, most of them naturally adapt to the warm weather. Peterson says he prefers working in the winter.
They get their winter coats, so they're all looking bigger, and they don't need heat or anything. We give them a straw bed, but they're laying out in the snow. And then even when the snow piles up, they're like powering through the snow. They're just made for it all.
Peterson says the extended winter and late spring caused some delays, but you can have a chance to see all the animals outside by June. And the Roosevelt Park Zoo is also welcoming a new addition. This is Cindy, a newborn bison. The zookeeper says that Cindy was born on Monday and is already up and walking around. Newborn bison develop quickly as long as Cindy's around her mom. There's not much the zookeepers need to do. Cindy is already on display outside with mom and dad. The Boy Scouts of America announced today it will be renamed Scouts BSA. The organization decided last fall to allow girls into the program starting next year. Cub Scout packs already have started admitting girls. Scout leaders say changing the name doesn't change the program.
The values and the principles of scouting stay the same. Character building, citizenship, outdoor skills, leadership, moral development, the same for young boys and young girls.
Henry, were you ever in scouting?
Yes, I was. How about yourself?
I'm actually the highest ranking Girl Scout. I'm a gold.
Nice. Yep, you did well.
Yeah, it gets me a lot of dates.
Yes, I bet it does. And another thing that gets people lots of dates is this nice weather. Look at tomorrow. We are talking about lots of sunshine. We'll be waking up to temperatures in near 40 degrees for the most part, but then it is going to be a rather decent day. Even into the weekend, we're talking about 70s and comfortable weather.
How far did you get?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.